The new build is out of Hordest, which brought with it the Kentrosaurus and some major map changes. So I wanted to try growing a Deinosuchus and explore the new and adjusted areas. But every croc begins life at the bottom of the food chain. Another small croc calls out. I'll try to track down and approach without it noticing. The swamp can be an unforgiving place for a young Deinosuchus. There are many small pockets of water for terrestrial creatures to safely drink from, and food is never a guarantee. A clean kill, and I emerge unscathed. This makes for an excellent start. His nutrients will accelerate my early growth, meaning less time spent so vulnerable. However, growing quickly means I'll be hungry again soon. I have to start moving. The journey will take me all the way through the swamp, and eventually out to seawater, which is why I hold on to my first mutation. I managed to scavenge just enough to keep me going along the way. And eventually make it out the other end. I checked the map to see just how far I would have to travel on land. It isn't terribly far, but it's very open. But first I'll have to wait for these Kentros to leave. Fortunately, it doesn't take too long before they're on their way, and I can get on mine. The coast seems clear, and I take some solace in knowing that the herbivores have poor night vision. But if anything should spot me here, there's nowhere to hide. I make it to the saltwater unseen, and drink my fill to unlock the mutation that allows me to exist here. I made it out to the saltwater earlier than most crocs would, meaning anything I meet out here is going to be larger than me. I have to be ready to use the mangroves as cover. They're my only defense against predators. The larger a Deinosuchus gets, the further its underwater vision extends, putting me at a terrible disadvantage. There's no cover here, but it seems like his attention is above the water. I survived the night and worked my way further up the river. I haven't visited a sanctuary yet, so now was the perfect opportunity to do so. There aren't any bees here, but I'm fairly confident this is far enough. The population in and around this part of the river has been sparse, so I made the drastic decision to make the journey up to Westrail Pond, in broad daylight, at 200 kilograms. At 200 kilograms, the Deinosuchus is incredibly slow on land and runs out of stamina quickly. Westrail Pond, in my experience, is almost always inhabited by enormous crocs, because it's a popular drinking spot. Yet, if I don't make this journey, I don't know when or if I would get my next meal. The journey takes me into the night. I'm dehydrated and would soon be hungry, but all that matters right now is that there's nothing lurking below. I dive in and take shelter inside a hollow log, waiting to see if it's all clear. It isn't. I remain hidden for a while, but I realize that I would have to come out sometime, and I only see one croc in here, so I'm left with no choice but to see if he's friendly. As my luck would have it, he turns out to be. For a while it's smooth growing. My new friend makes some amazing catches, and life's good. good times were fairly short-lived, however. Some large T-Rexes came along. They were too big to grab, and their presence here was scaring away other dinosaurs that may have wanted to drink. Eventually, we had to call it a day. Our hunger had gotten low. The next day, before I could even hit record, I was chased out of the pond by another dino, turning a desperate situation even worse. The walk back down to the old mudflats was long and painful. I had begun starving to death. All I find are mere crumbs, but I'm not in a position to complain. This grants me another minute or two to continue my search. I frantically scour the river in hopes of finding anything at all. As if delivered from the heavens, I find a dead sea turtle. And shortly after, a dead croc that seems to have been there a while. Now that I've gained some size and have a near full belly, I need to find myself a new hunting spot. Recently I've found that not every croc is out for blood. Perhaps it's because the fish AI is back, making cannibalism unnecessary in many places, but one must always be wary. I arrive back at what I'm going to call the salt pools. There seems to be ample food for herbivores scattered around this area, as well as narrow crossing points that a patient and precise Deinosuchus could lunge. I watch and wait as the Cerato makes his way around, closing in on the Kentro. It's a standoff. The water is too shallow, and both of them are too far away for me to make a move, so I can only spectate. The Serato fought well, but in the end, I'm the one who claims its prize. I spent a long while searching this area, but ended up finding nothing, and my hunger would soon be low once more. So I returned to somewhere more reliable, and to my surprise, a Kentra was walking the path through the cave. I'll have to get to the other end before it if I'm to save myself from starvation. I made the catch, but I was clumsy and completely forgot about the tactile endurance mutation herbivores can have. The damage I deal to it is being converted back to stamina. Eventually I realized the error of my ways and secured the kill. Not my finest moment, but food is food. It didn't last long though, so I decided to finally climb up to the old South Plains River. I'm decently sized now, so unless there's a huge prime in there, I'll probably be fine. Probably. The Serato was at the edge of the river for a long time. Surely this means there's nothing below the water's surface. Must have been the wind. all I find are scraps of something very small, not enough to fill the belly of a large croc for even a second. The bodies I can smell at the top of the waterfall set off alarm bells in the back of my mind, but I am getting truly desperate. This should have been enough of a warning. I count myself lucky. Maybe he thought I'd die by dropping down the waterfall. But I take no chances and get as far away as I can. I didn't know it at the time, but that isn't the last I'll see of that particular croc. Eventually, I decided I wanted to find somewhere new to hunt. So I make my way up the waterfalls of South Plains River once more. The traumatic memory of the day before burned into my mind. By now I'd reached Prime Elder. I still have a lot of growing to do, but only the largest dinosaurs are safe from me now. I traveled the entire way up the river to Top Pond. It isn't the final destination I had in mind, but I was interested in how the update affected the dino's life across the map. It was getting late, and the server population had dwindled by now, so I decided the best thing to do was wait until tomorrow. It turned out to be the right decision, as this smaller croc appears from the bush. He begged and tried to reason with me as the air was crushed out of his lungs. I almost felt sorry for him. That is, until afterwards, when he blew up my DMs with some heartwarming messages. Top Pond is very rarely inhabited by Deinosuchus, and it isn't visited all that often by thirsty dinosaurs. However, those that do decide to drink here often let their guard down. minute now. The body was bugged and I had to relog to fix it. I tried to escape again, but didn't get so far this time. Night falls, and I want to keep moving. This time I'll be walking all the way to Highlands Lake. Even though the layout of the map is the same, the tall redwood trees break up the sightlines I'm used to, and make navigating a little tricky. Entering a new body of water is always a huge risk. I scout it out, staying low until I'm sure. Again, this isn't my final destination, and I won't be staying here for too long. I've never lived in the landslide lake before, and I wanted to try it out. I finally arrived, but it was shallower than I anticipated. It was going to take some luck and ingenuity to make this work. Because this lake is seldom home to crocs, many are confident and careless when drinking here. But most of the lake is too shallow for me to hide in. I had to get a little creative. I could have taken the mire instead, but I decided that delos have had their fun. They're in a strong place right now, and have been swarming servers lately. To be honest, I was disappointed. Aside from a few decent catches, there wasn't nearly enough food to keep a 12-ton monster fed. So, for the final time, I set out once more. I'd be going full circle, back to West Rail Pond. At 12 tons, I figure I'd have a decent chance as long as I don't run into a pair of 13.5-ton crocs. Time is a luxury I can no longer afford. Remember that croc that chased me off the waterfall down in South Plains? Well, I checked the replay files. There he is. A close fight, no doubt. And judging by the way he so confidently tried to lunge me, he was likely 100% grown. Lucky for me, he took the fight into the water and missed some crucial bites. If you watched this far into the video, I want to give a huge thank you. This took a long time to make, and I loved every minute of it. I hope to see you in the next one.